Okay, so today's topic is version control system, VCS. Okay, version control system. So what is version control system? What is version control system? Version control. The name itself is giving the meaning. Okay. Yeah, suppose if you are implementing some code. Okay, so let me take one folder. Okay, outside of this folder, okay, I'm creating one new folder. VCS. Suppose if you are writing some code, okay, into some notepad. Okay, some V1. Okay, some initial code, some you have written. Okay, so this is your code now. Okay, if you want to share, if you want to share this code with some other developer, how you will share? Okay, if you want to share this code to other developer, how you will share? Okay, so in organizations, generally, we will have network tab. Okay, if you look at the left side of this navigation, so network tab, right? So generally Windows admins, so they create like a network like for all your systems. Okay, they create the network for all your laptops. Okay, in an organization, they create the network. Okay, once they create the network, under this network again you can see each one's laptop drives. Okay, some each one's laptop drives you can share here. User accounts you can see here. So along with that, they will also create one more drive, okay, which is accessed by everyone. Suppose if you have your drive that you can only access, but if they create some shared drive inside the network tab, that can be accessed by everyone, so they will give you the access. Okay, so you have to place your code, the code files into shared drive, so there everyone can access that code. Okay, everyone can access that code. So like how I am sharing our classes. Okay, once we complete, immediately you are not able to access, right? So that I have to store into Google Drive. So from there you are accessing our class recordings and class notes, right? Similarly, so if you suppose if you creating some code, so if you want to share with some other people, okay, so directly you cannot share. You have to share through the mails, or you have to share through the other platforms. Okay, so similarly, shared drive is one of the platform to share your code. Okay, so up to this is fine. Suppose if you place this code into shared drive, okay, everyone is accessing. Okay, some other developer done the changes in the same file. Okay, in the same file, other developer done the same code and he modified the same file. Okay, initially he copied that file, okay, into his local, and he modified it and he replaces the existing file with the new content. Okay, developer one. Okay, so similarly, so there are multiple developers are working. One more developer did his changes and he replaced the file again. He replaced the file again. But when he replaced the file, okay, the first developer code is not available in his second developer code. Okay, he just directly placed the second developer code into, he just replaced the file on the shared drive. Okay, so here first developer code will be overridden, right? First developer code will be overridden by second developer. Okay, so first developer unable to see his code because it is overridden by second developer code. Then how we can track this? How we can track this work? Who is done the changes? Who is deployed first, or who is replaced this file first, and who is replaced the file next? Like that, how we can track this? Okay, to track the each and every version, each developer's commit, generally in technically we call it as deployment. Okay, technically we call it as deployment. So placing somewhere. Okay, so for each and everything, each developer who is replacing this file. Okay, so if you want to get those details, you require a version control system. Version control system means so different versions. So version means not only version. Suppose if the developer implementing some code, if you place into the same file, that also comes into the different version. Different version. Okay, so if you're adding something new, so it becomes new version. Okay, so then how we can track who is like changing the files? Who is changing the files? If you want to track, you require a version control system. Okay, to track the changes done by various people, various developers. To track the changes done by various developers in the code, we require a version control system. Okay, so every time it has to capture the developer details who are changing that code. It has to capture. If somebody done the mistake, okay, we have to remove that. We have to remove that code, and we have to get a older version. Okay, that facility we should require. Okay, to done that, we have so many tools in the market. The most popular tools are SVN. Okay, so SVN is called a subversion. Subversion. Okay, we have one more popular tool, that is Git. Okay, global information tracker. Okay, from last 6 years, everyone were migrated to Git only. Okay, so again, SVN and Git are, these two are again two different strategies that is not required now. Okay, so centralized control system, distributed control system, like that. We have some other step to talk about more. But I don't want to discuss about SVN. It is a older type. Okay, so we have most of the projects, 95% projects are using Git. Not only 95, maximum 99% of people are migrated to Git tool. Okay, so we will talk about the Git tool today. Okay, we will discuss about the Git tool. Okay, so Git is a software. Okay, so why this Git is required? To track the changes done by various developers in the code. Okay, along with that, we have so many advantages with the Git. Okay, so see, so here instead of placing this code into some shared drive, so nowadays everyone are using online shared drives. So technically we call it as repositories. Repositories also you can call it as some folder, some drive. Okay, online drives are using. So network, if you place the shared drive into the network, that also comes under online only. Everyone can access from anywhere. But for this, again, so generally in the network, there are again two types. Okay, local area network, like that. Okay, internet, internetwork, like that. We have two different types. Okay, so if you take the network, suppose if you take some organization, okay, so only that organization people only can access that code. But if you use the internet work, if you place into the web, that can be accessed by everyone, not only your organization. If you provide the access, that can be accessed by everyone. Okay, so we have some online repositories. Okay, so to track the work of developers, to track the changes of developers, okay, we can track of those online repositories using Git. Okay, Git and SVN both are softwares. First, you have to install into your local machine. So if you after installing, okay, if you want to like change, track the changes, you can easily change. And also one more important thing is, so here in the Git and SVN, suppose if some developer done some changes, first developer done some changes. Okay, suppose first developer done his changes. First developer. Okay, second developer before overriding this file, what he can do is he can directly fetch these changes, the new latest changes into his file, and he can replace the existing file. Okay, there are some shortcuts to fetch the latest changes every time. Okay, we have some commands using which we can every time we can get the latest changes. Okay, so in organization in real time we use Git to do that. Okay, so if you want to perform Git operations, okay, you have to install the Git software. Okay, so that is also a open source tool. So you can directly open Google and search for Git, only Git. Okay, Git download. See, so git-scm.com is the official website. So go to that website. So you can directly download installer Windows or Mac or Linux. Okay, so once you download, you just need to again how we install Java, the similar way you have to install it. Okay, so by default Git or we have other softwares we have. Okay, Git, Maven, Eclipse. If you want to use these tools, you must install Java before using these tools. Okay, because these works on Java platform. Okay, so you just need to click on just Windows. It will download the, yeah. So here again it is asking whether it is 34-bit or 64-bit, like that it is asking. Okay, so standalone installer you can click. See, it is already started downloading. Okay, you just need to double click on it and you just need to install it. Okay, how to install? Okay, the clear steps with screenshots I have provided in the installation guide. Second. The clear steps I have installed in the installation guide, how to download and install the Git. The first step you have to do is install the Git in your local system. And also, like while you are joining the class, don't join from the mobiles. Okay, join through laptops only. So immediately you can write whatever I'm explaining. Immediately you can also write the program, and also if anything is required, software is required, that you can immediately install it. Yeah. So in this installation document, okay, I have provided the clear steps how to install Git. It is taking more time to load. This is Maven. This is Eclipse. Similarly, for Git also, I have provided the steps. Let me find it. Okay, so I think these screenshots missed from this file. Okay, I will add those screenshots how to install one by one step. I will like include in this document, and I will replace in the Google Drive. Okay, so it's very simple. You just need to, like how you install Java the similar way. You just need to double click and click next and click OK. Okay, so no need to set up any environment variables. Nothing you have to do. Just install it. Okay, once you install, okay, if you want to check whether it is installed or not, so you have to check like how we check Java. The similar way you have to check with the command prompt. Okay, so you have to check with git-version. Okay, so git-version. Suppose if it is not working with single hyphen, put two hyphens. Okay, so git version is 2.26.1 in my Windows machine. Okay, this is already installed. So what is the use of Git? It is very easy. If you done any changes, to track of your changes, you can see with the help of Git. Okay, so for the practice purpose, so in local, I will create few files. Okay, after that we will discuss about the remote repository. Okay, so and also we can relate between local repository and online repository also. So what is the architecture, I will explain later. Okay, once you install, so here I'm creating in the VCS, I'm creating one folder, some Git folder, Git. Okay, the very first step is, so generally in organizations you want to do these steps, but before learning the remote repository, so these basics are required. Okay, so once you so if you want to use the Git, okay, so once you install the Git software, you will get these two options: Git GUI here, git bash here. Okay, git bash means, so it is like a command prompt. So there you need to write git commands to track of the changes. Git GUI is the user interface. Okay, some window will open. The UI options also you can use to track the changes. Okay, so if you learn git bash, GUI will be very easy. Okay, first I will explain git bash. Okay, so in this particular location, I'm opening the git bash. Okay, so where it is opened in E drive, testing, Selenium, VCS, and Git. Okay, so if you want to use the Git options, the very first step is, so you have to use Git init. So when you create Git init in backend, what happens is it creates the local repository, which means this .git is the local repository. So what is local repository and what is remote repository, we will discuss. Suppose if I add some file, okay. Oh, sorry, it is. Let me delete it. Let me add one new file, text file. Okay, file one. If you want to check, if somebody added some file to this folder, if you want to check new file is added or not, you can directly check with the git status. See, so whenever it is added, it is directly showing the changes. Okay, so who added this file? If you want to check who added this file, so if you want to check that, so we have command git log. Your current branch master does not have any commits. Okay, okay. So what is commits, that I will explain later. So even though you add this file, okay, so it will not affect any changes. Okay, so we have to discuss about the architecture of Git now. Okay, then only you can understand. So what is this meaning? This error meaning. Your current branch master does not have any commit set. Okay, so let me explain the architecture, then only you can understand it. Okay, yeah. Yeah. So Git is different and the local file system is different. Okay, so coming to this particular folder, Git folder, .git is the local repository. .git is the local repository. Okay, so you added in the Git folder. It is your local folder. Okay, the basic architecture is you have local folder, just normal file system folder. You installed Git initially in our local. When you do init command, it creates local repository. Okay, local repository. So like this. This is the local file system, and this is the local repository, Git local repository. Git local repository. This is your file system, local file system, your folder. Okay. So even though you add some files, you added one text file, right? So that is some text one or some file one. What is the file name? So file one. So let me rename it as file one. Okay. So when you add any file into this local file system, okay, so it can track that file, but it will not store that file into your local repository. So whatever you store into the local repository, so for those files only, it can give the log, it can give the version, who changed the file, all these details it will give in the from the local repository only. Okay, so if you want to permanent your changes, what you have to do is you have to move these files to local repository. So it is not like moving, generally in technically what we call it as committing your file, commit your changes to local repository. Okay, so again you have to do commit 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 the changes to your local repository, these details. Okay, before committing, okay, so initially before committing to this Git repository, again there are two different memory locations, virtual memory locations. One is buffer area, technically we call it as stash area. Okay, this is the stash area, stash area. This is stage area, stash area and stage area. Okay, so if you want to permanent your changes to Git local repository, so what you have to do is, so you have to add these files to stage area. Okay, then you have to add to your local repository. Okay, to add the files to stage area, we have the command add command. Okay, to store the staged changes to your local repository, you have command commit. Okay, we have one more area, that is stash area. Suppose if I want to write one more file, file 2. Okay, file 2. So I have some changes here. These changes I don't want to store now. Okay, I want to store later. Okay, these files you can move it to stash area using stash command. Using stash command. Using stash command, you can store into stash area. So whenever you required, again you can get those files. Suppose I have two modules code I have to implement. Okay, so I'm implementing file one for some December release. Okay, so file 2 for some November release. File 3 for some October release. Okay, so initially you start with the file 1. Okay, then you got one more requirement. You started with file 2. But there is an urgent requirement you have to release in the October. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to release this file to version. Okay, so generally if in a version, I mean in a release, we create n number of files, n number of 100 number of files we will create. Okay, so if you want to store these two files into some other buffer memory location, okay, and the remaining files, these two, the last file, if you want to permanent your changes, okay, if you want to move it to Git local repository, then how you can do? Okay, if you move everything, all the changes will be moved to local repository. Okay, so to avoid that confusion, what you can do is, so whatever the work you done for file 1 and file 2, that you can store into the buffer memory location, that is stash area, the file. So then it will remove these two files from here. Okay, now your local repository is empty. Okay, now you can write a fresh file. Let me copy these two to here. You can create a fresh file, file 3. You can do the changes that you can move it to stage area. Then from there you can permanent. Okay, so from here you can okay. So to here you can store it to, then you can permanent to your Git repository. So after that, if you want to fetch these files, yes, you can again fetch these files to this local file system. Okay, that's where stash will work. Okay, so suppose, for example, we have added one file 1.txt file. Okay, so this one I don't want to work now. On this file 1, I don't want to work now. Okay, what you can do is git stash. Okay, so it is asking to initial commit. Okay, so yeah, so first we have to place something, okay, into the git. Okay, again, if you do the git to status means to check the changes, to check the what are all the new files added, what are all the files changed. If you want to check, git status is the command. Okay, in file 1, okay, let me commit this file. Okay, if you want to commit the file, what is the flow you have to follow? Okay, first you have to add to the staging area, then only you can commit. Okay, so git, so in file 1, so what I write is initial code, some initial code. Okay, so first add to the staging area, git add. So if you want to add all files, okay, you can simply use -a. Or if you want to add only one file, okay, you can provide the file name also. So like this, you can select that file name and you can provide like this. Okay, -a, it will add all files if you have multiple files. If you specify single file, it will add only single file. Okay, now if you check the git status, so it is turned to green color, which means it is in a staged area. It is in a staged area. So now, so from this location to staging area to Git repository, local repository, you can save. Okay, how to save? Just use the command git commit. Commit is the command. Along with the commit, so one mandatory step is you have to put a message, commit message. Okay, to represent the message, we have -m, which means message. Okay, you need to put the message. Okay, what is this? Initial commit, some initial commit. You can give any name. Enter. Okay, one file is committed. One file is committed. Still, you can see that file in our local file system, but it is in Git local repository now. Now it is in Git local repository. You can use it as a local file system file, or you can use it as a Git file system, Git local repository file system. Okay, if you do Git status, the changes it won't display. Okay, now check for the Git log. See, I have done the changes when Tuesday today. Okay, similarly, in shared drive also, we can create the Git and we can, like we can track the changes of each user. If multiple users are working on the same folder or same file. Okay, suppose let me write something inside this file. First developer code. So again, if you check the status, Git status, see it is showing modified. It is showing modified. So again, this modified code, if you want to permanent to your like local repository, so again you have to do the same command. Okay, you have to add it to the staging using git add command. Okay, then you have to commit the code. To commit the code, we have command git commit -m. So first developer code. Okay, first developer code. Now these changes are permanent to your local Git repository. Again, if you check the log, see, first time I have committed and second time I have committed with the commit message, first developer and initial commit. Okay, so whenever you are committing your code, okay, in the backend, it generates one unique ID. In the backend, it generates one unique ID. Okay, that is very important. Okay, so to work with the Git, those no need to know. But what's happening in the backend, if you want to know, so you have to know in that, you have to learn in that level. Okay, so we have one command git log. So we have -, one line. One line, not online, one line. See, so whenever we commit, so in the backend, it generates some unique IDs. Okay, so what is the use of unique IDs? These generally we call it as commit IDs. Whenever we permit our changes to repository, okay, these we call it as commit IDs. Okay, with the help of these commit IDs, if somebody done some changes, okay, if we don't want to use those changes, we can directly revert to their code with the help of these commit IDs. With the help of commit IDs. Suppose, see, in my system, file system, okay, somebody, first developer had done some changes. I want to revert the changes. Okay, how I can do that? So we have different commands again to revert the changes. We have different commands. Okay, so you can use git revert. So I want to remove these changes. Sorry, if you press Control C, what happens is it cancel that operation. Okay, so git revert. So you can place that command, paste. So whenever you do this command, that time also it will generate commit ID. Okay, if I enter. So now, okay, so whenever we are reverting, okay, it asks you to put some message, revert message. For that you need to press Control I. Okay, escape, then press I. So now you can put some message. Okay, this reverse commit it is showing. Okay, if you want to put some message, that is also you can put. Okay, I want to revert one some message. After that, again you have to press escape and again insert. Again escape. So here to change that message, we have one command. Okay, these are very basic commands and useful. Colon, write, and quit, and exclamator. This is the command. One file is changed. Okay, so again open this file. Okay, see, this is removed. That code is removed automatically. The first developer done some changes. That code is removed from this file. If you observe here. Okay, like that we have some options. If some developer done some like changes, okay, some mistake, it will affect to all other developers, right? So in Java, if you made some mistakes in one file, it also affects to all other files. Okay, so we have so many like commands to organize our code and also to track of the changes and to remove the unwanted changes. Okay, yeah. So now, so we have local repository. Okay, so we are moving these files to our Git repository. Okay, after that you done the changes and you brought all your changes to your local repository. So again, local repository, for that you need to set up some local area network and also permissions, some admin also required to manage this, right? So instead of this, nowadays everyone are using remote repositories. Remote repositories. These repositories are hosted in the online. This is the remote repository. Okay, these remote repositories, from local repository to remote repository, you can store the code. Similarly, from remote repository to local repository also, you can get the code. Okay, so if you pass this code to remote repository, so using push command, we will push our code to remote repository. If you want to get if you want to get the latest code from the remote repository to your local repository, so you have to use the pull command. Okay, pull command. Okay, so this is fine. Okay, so this is remote repository. Again, we will discuss later. Okay, so here, suppose instead of reverting that code, okay, if some developers, multiple developers working on the same file, okay, like with one branch, okay, in the one single branch here. So again, every time track of changes, every time like reverting this code, okay, it is a very big task. Okay, so generally what we have to do is, so we have to so we have to instead of opening that file and instead of doing the changes, everyone doing the changes in the single file, so we can create a copy of file. Okay, copy of entire repository. So let me explain that. It is taking more time. Okay, so instead of doing that, so you already created one repository. Inside that, by default, it creates one copy. Okay, that copy, it gives the name as master. Okay, when we create the copy, so it is created the one copy inside the local repository that we call it as master. Okay, so if you want to do the changes, so generally whatever we write in the master, so we take that code as a permanent code. Okay, so instead of doing the changes into that master branch, okay, that master copy, okay, getting these confusions and getting these conflicts, what we can do is, before like using it, you can create a duplicate copy. You can do the changes in your duplicate copy. After done with your work, that copy you can merge with the master branch. Okay, so when you have some copy, okay, you can create a duplicate copies, n number of copies, n number of copies you can create. You can give the separate name to it. So by default, you will get the name as master. So you can create duplicate copies. Duplicate copies, copy 1, copy 2, and copy 3. So technically, so these copies we call it as branches. Branches. Okay. So instead of calling it as copy 1, branch 1, branch 2, branch 3, like that you can call. Sorry. Branch 2. And branch 3. So technically we call it as branch 1, branch 2, and branch 3, like that we call. So branch, copy, synonyms. Okay, again, whatever you write, whatever you write, whatever the copy you modified, those changes if you want to, you can place into the master copy. Okay, so that also you can do. That also you can do. Okay, so the same thing you can put it into the master. Merge into the master. Generally we call it as merging. All the changes again you can merge to the master. This is again master, your master only. Okay, so these are called branches. So these, from these branches you are creating the, you are merging the your code latest changes, you merge into the master. So if you do like this, okay, your master copy will not be, your master copy will not be disturbed. And also if you do any wrong commits to your master from this branch, okay, when you do wrong merge to your master, this entire branch, reverting this entire branch is easy for the tracking. Okay, for it is easy for the reverting. Okay, if you do 100 number of commits from a single developer, again one more developer done some hundreds of commits, to differentiate it take lot of time. Okay, those hundreds of commits you can do into your branch. That branch, if you merge to your master, so the entire commits you can revert at a time. Okay, the entire commits you can revert at a time. So like that, we have to create the branches to our master copy. In the branches only, we have to work in the real time. So they will give you some code base. Okay, initially they will give you the master copy. They will give you the master copy. Okay, so you should not go ahead and do the changes in the master copy. Okay, if anything is happens, okay, again, so they will track your name and they come to you. Why did you do these changes? Okay, if something happens wrong. So what you have to do is, so you have to create a duplicate copy that we call it as branch. And in that branch, you can work, you can do your modifications. Okay, if everything is done, you can raise a merge request. Okay, so if you want to merge it to master, you have to raise a merge request. So we have different version control system tools. Okay, in one tool we call it as pull request. In one tool we call it as merge request. Okay, you have to create a merge request. Okay, whoever is owner of this master copy, whoever is leading your automation, like automation team, okay, who is taking care of these automation all activities, lead activities, there they will review your code. If everything is okay, they only will merge it to the master. So that is the process generally we follow. Okay, once you get the code, once you get the like some git code, so immediately you have to create a branch. Okay, so you can create into local branch, or you can create into local branch, you can create into remote repository also. You can create into local repository and remote repository. If you create remote repository, that you can fetch it to your local repository. If you create in your local, that you can push it to your remote repository. Vice versa you can do. Okay, so first I will show it in the local, then we will move to the remote repository. Okay, if you want to create a branch, okay, what you have to do is git. So to write any git command, first we have to start with the git. Okay, so you are creating a branch. Okay, branch name. Okay, new branch one, new branch one. Okay, from where you want to copy, which copy you want to create it as a branch. Okay, you can create any branch copy, not only master. Suppose if there are more than one already existing branches, other branches also generally we do. So generally, so developers, what they do is, not developers, in organizations, what we do is we create one more intermediate branch, one more intermediate branch. So here the same copy. Okay, what I do is I will take the one more. Okay, so technically, so if you look at this part, technically this we call it as fork. This call it as merge. Okay, fork and merges. Technically we call fork and merges. What is git fork? What is git merge, like that? What are fork and what are merges? They will ask in the interview. Interviewers ask in the ask in your interview. Okay, that time you have to explain like this. Creating a new branch to some parent branch is a fork. Merging all the branches to the parent branch is a merge. Okay, so let me git fork and merges. Okay, so generally how we do is in the real time. So instead of disturbing master by duplicate copies, so we will create one more intermediate copy, to our master branch. Okay, so general name we will give it as some latest. Okay, from here we create the branches from latest to master, master to latest. We will do the merges. So like this we will create. Okay, so as of now, so we will directly create the branch under master, or you can create a intermediate latest one. Under that, under latest, you can create the branches. Okay, so if you want to create a branch, okay, so just use the git branch command, some new underscore branch one. So from where you want to copy. So which branch you want to copy? I want to copy a master. So put the master. If you click enter, so now you can check how many branches are available in your repository. If you want to check, command is git branch -a. See, now I have two branches, master and new branch. So if you want to work on your new branch, first what you have to do is you have to switch to the new branch. You have to switch to new branch. If it is showing master means you are in the master copy. So, but your intention is to work in your new branch, and that after done with all your changes, those changes you want to merge it to the master. So if you want to merge it to your master, so what you have to do is you have to switch to that branch. So use git checkout check out to switch to branch, checking out. Okay, you are entering into that branch. So branch name is new underscore branch one. Okay, if you click enter, so now my branch is new branch one. So whatever the code is available in your master, the same code will come into the new branch one. Okay, so you can see what are the files available in this new branch. ls-a. I have only file one. Okay, suppose if I want to do some changes in file one. Okay, cat file1.txt. It is showing only initial code. Okay, or you can edit in. Okay, so let me edit directly this file. So I am going to git branch one code. Okay, I done some changes in my branch one. Okay, if I do git status, the modified file name it is showing, right? So I done the changes in the file one. Suppose if I switch to master, okay, if you want to switch to master, how you can switch? Git checkout master. Okay, switch it branch to the master. Okay, if you check the git status for okay, so generally, so I opened it directly, right? So that is the reason it is showing this modified file as for both the branches. So what I do is, so again I will check out to my new branch. So, okay, so git status. So git status modified, right? So let me commit the changes to new branch one. So to commit the changes, first step what you have to do is git add. So you can give the file name. It is added. Check whether it is added or not. Git status. So it is added to the staging. Now you can commit. Okay, so how you can commit? Git commit -m, give the message. Okay, so branch 1 changes. Still you are in new branch. Let's read that file. Whatever the changes you done, read that file. Okay, so you have initial code and also branch 1 code. So let me switch to master. Okay, using checkout command, you can switch to the master. Okay, now read the file from the master. Cat file name. So branch 1 code also it is showing. Give me 1 second. What I do is, so like when I directly read from, okay, when I directly open the file from here, okay, so you will get these issues. So that is the reason we have to use the editors. Okay, what I do is git commit -a -m new changes. Nothing is committed. Okay, so let me add to the staging. Git add git commit -m new changes. Okay, if I read my file, okay, it is initial code only. So let me switch to the branch. These are the commands you should be handy. By heart it if you are unable to remember. Okay, so checkout, status, add. Okay, all these you have to by heart or you have to remember every time. Okay, git checkout. So my branch name is new branch 1. Okay, let me read that file. Okay, so it is changed in both the branches, right? So what I do is, so I open this file in branch 1. Okay, to open the command, 1 second. So generally we have Vim editor like that. We have some tools to edit the file in the console. We have one command. I'm searching for it. So like cat, we have one command to edit the file. So what like otherwise what we can do is, so we have editors, okay, so that you can open it in uh, like any editor like Eclipse, IntelliJ, or any other editors. Okay, let me open this file. this folder in VS Code. Okay, so I have one tool, VS Code. It is also similarly like how we use Eclipse. The similar way we can use this VS Code. Okay, IntelliJ VS Code, and also these editors helps you to switch to the branches and work on those branches. So let me open folder. Where is VCS? Okay, in Selenium, I have created VCS. So this is the folder we are working, right? So let me open it. Okay, so from here also you can write the Git comments. Git comments from here also you can write. I go to terminal. It is taking time. See, and also if you look at this tool in the left side bottom corner, it is in the new branch. Okay, if you want to switch to master, you can directly switch to the master. Okay, so now this file I have, okay, in the branch one. Okay, I'm writing this, okay, branch one code. Okay, so if you perform git status, see one file is modified. Here also you can practice, not only the PowerShell. So most of the time we use the git console only. So through tools also we can do. Okay, git add file one. Okay, again git status, one modified file. So if you want to commit, git commit, -m, new branch code. Okay, so git status. Okay, now check the using cat command. Now check what is there in the new branch file one. So let me check out. Git checkout master. So now again read the file. See, if you look at the content of this file, what is there here? It is initial code only, it is showing. So here you can see initial code plus branch one code. In new branch one, you can see the new changes and you can see the old code in the master branch. Okay, these two are two different branches. So whatever the modifications you do in your own branch, local, like other created branch, your feature branch, generally we call it as feature branch. Okay, so that those changes will not be available in the master copy. Okay, if you want to merge your code to your master copy, what you can do is git merge. What is your branch? Your branch name is new branch. Okay, is it visible? Git merge new branch. Otherwise, what I will do is I will clear this screen. Okay, so now I want to, so let me again from the master, I have only initial code. Okay, so but in my so in my new branch, I have the latest code that I want to merge it to my master branch. Okay, use git merge master branch, git merge new branch one with master. So now read the file from the master. Earlier you have only initial code. Okay, if you read the file from master, so now you got the latest changes also. Okay, so here suppose some developer done the wrong coding in his branch. Okay, if you want to revert from the master, so what you can do is git log hyphen one line. So now the latest changes. See, this is the commit ID. First developer code changes are here. If you want to remove that, you can revert with the revert command, and you have to pass this commit ID. Like that, it is very simple. Suppose he done the 100 changes. In his local, it will become 100 changes. Okay, but you can revert or reset the file with the help of revert or reset commands. Okay, reset and revert are both are different. Okay, so reset, it will delete the entire file. So revert, it will only revert the changes. Okay, see, suppose you want to revert this commit. Sorry, you cannot directly do the control C, just you have to right click, git revert. Okay, you have to give the revert command, press escape, then I. So what you can do is, so give some revert command, some. This reverts new branch code. Okay, so then press escape, press I, then escape. So here, what you have to do, colon, WQ and exclamator, enter. Okay, now read the file. So you have only initial code. You simply reverted the code which is merged by new branch. Okay, so like this we can manage our code. If somebody done the changes, you can simply manage the code. So in the master branch, whoever done the commits, those also you can simply check using git logs. So these many commits happened by me only. Suppose multiple developers are working, so they can see the changes and they can remove the, so one by one they will check and they will remove the code. So here the commit message is the important. See, whatever the commit message you are giving, that commit message only it is showing, right? Okay, so new branch code. Okay, new branch code, first developer code, and see initial commit. All these are it is displayed. Okay, are you like getting it or not? Okay, so the comments, the important comments. Okay, the initial comments. Okay, first, suppose if you add any file to your local repository system, if you want to check what are the files are added, you have to use git status. Okay, git status. If you want to create the branch, okay, let me start from the branch, then you will understand better. If you want to create the branch, git branch name, okay, new branch name, and source branch, from which branch you are creating the branch. Again, if you want to switch to your branch, you have to use git checkout branch name. Okay, once you added some files, if you want to check, you have to use git status. Okay, if you want to permanent your changes, first add your changes to the stash. Okay, git add file name, single file. If you put -a, all files. Okay, so you have to use git commit to permanent your changes to your local repository in the created branch. Git commit, use -m, it is for message, git commit message. Okay, these are the comments. If you want to revert your changes, git revert commit ID, commit ID. How to know the commit ID? Use git log. You can see the commit IDs. Git log -one line. Okay. So we already created some code into our local. Okay. So if you want to store this local repository from local repository to remote repository, how I can store? From local repository to remote repository if I want to store. And also I want to like do some changes in my local. Every time I have to push my changes to the remote repository. If some other developer pushed the code to remote repository, I have to fetch the code from the remote repository. Okay, how I can do that? It is very simple. So you have to use, okay, so master only, I will push it to the like remote repository. But if you want to push it to the remote repository, okay, so remote repository should be available, right? Remote repository should be available, right? Okay, without availability of remote repository, you cannot push your code to remote repository. Okay, so if you want to push your code to remote repository, so to support Git versions, there are different types of remote repositories. Okay, GitHub, very famous. It is open source and free. GitLab, this is also one of the open source and limited access. Okay, and we have Bitbucket, Azure DevOps. Okay, similarly, we have other tools. Okay, the most popular tools are GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps. So we have other as well. So most of the time we use GitHub and GitLab, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps. Most of the time, everyone uses these four. Okay, whatever the repository, remote repository you use, these comments are common. Git comments are common. Okay, so these takes the Git software help. These are the names of remote repositories which are not related to Git. Git is a separate software. These are the remote repositories, but it supports all these commands. Okay, so I have created one account in GitHub. It is an open source. You can also create your own account. Okay, there I have to store my code. There I have to store my code. Okay, to do that, what you have to do is, so this is the GitHub account I created. Okay, if you want to create a GitHub account, so go through any portal. Okay, so this is the empty GitHub repository I created. So the initial step, what you have to do is, first you have to create the repository. Okay, some drive, some folder you have to create. So I'm creating one repository. Okay, repository name you have to give. Okay, repository name I'm giving it as Selenium-Java September 2023. Okay, so no need to check anything. So if you want to share this code with everyone, make it as public, otherwise you can put it as private. Okay, create a repository. So if you want to give some description, Selenium Java files, create repository. Okay, so by default, okay, it creates. Okay, so here, so here also, what it is showing, git init, git add, git commit, git branch, git push, all these things it is showing, right? Okay, so here also you can, it is a repository. Okay, you can create multiple projects. Okay, so it has provided one link also. Okay, we already created our project into our local, or project into our local. So if you want to store that project into GitHub repository, you have to use this website, this particular web address. Okay, if I want to store my code, whatever the code I have written here, okay, that I want to store into online repository, remote repository. So you have command git remote add origin. Okay, where you want to store the files. Okay, the origin is your remote repository address. Okay, if you click enter, see it is added now. It is the git remote repository is added. If you want to check git remote -v, so you can see the address of that, like whatever the repository address you have provided, that address you can see. But still your changes will be in your local. Okay, even though you set up this remote, you have changes in your local. So to store the changes in your local, what you have to do, you have to push your code to remote repository. Okay, so currently I'm in master. Okay, so I can simply do the git push. The current branch master has no upstream branch. To push the current branch, to set the remote as upstream, set as upstream or use origin master. Okay, it is asking you to use this command. Okay, so initially there is no code. Okay, suppose if you are using this code as a base directory, master base directory, so use this command. Okay, use this command, enter. So it is asking to provide my username and password. Okay, so here I have to provide my username or email. Click on login. Okay. So nowadays they are restricting using the normal passwords. Authentication failed for. Okay, so let me create one password in the Git. Okay, go to settings. So to create the password, so you have developer settings, personal access token, tokens. Okay, generate a new token, generate a new token. Okay, you can use anything. Okay, so okay, I provided some other name. Okay, okay, token name, some token one. Okay, so never custom. Okay, till some 30 I will put. Here I will change it to okay, some September. So 1 year I think maximum. Okay, so it is all public repositories. Okay, so create the token. So now it is generated the token that you can copy and save somewhere. You can, if you want, you can create the new token also. Git password token. So nowadays they are not accepting the direct username and password. So we have to create the password like this. Okay, now try to use the same command. Again, it will prompt you to username. So username is email. Password, I will use this password, normal password. Okay. Let me check again. Okay, so what is the name of automation test planet? If it takes more time, I will continue tomorrow. So still I'm unable to like push my code. Okay, so permission level, it is denying. Okay, so this I will check and I will let you know. So how to work with remote repository? Okay, I will explain tomorrow. Okay, after that we will discuss the Java part. Okay, so just simple. Okay, it fetches the code, your code into your repository. I created Selenium Java 2023, right? So the same code it will fetch to this particular location. Okay, so when I'm giving username and password, it is giving some error. Okay, so otherwise you can directly create here also. Okay, here also you can use online code, online code. Okay, online editor you can use. So here you will get options to edit your code. Okay, how to do that I will explain tomorrow. So whatever we discussed, those we discussed in for our local repository. Most of the time we work on local repository. Just we will push the code. The initial step you want to do, all these things you want to do. Okay, adding remote repository. Okay, initial base code setup, all these things real time you want to do. Okay, so that is already created by some other architects. Okay, what we have to do in our local, we have to do the changes. We have to just push our changes to the remote repository. Okay, how to do that I will explain tomorrow. Tomorrow's class also very important, and today's class also it is very important. Okay, so to add remote repository, how we are doing? To add the remote repository, the command is git remote add. Okay, so this is the address of repository. Again, if you want to check git remote -v, what is the repository address? Okay, so if you want to check all the comments which we used till now, okay, we have one command git history. Sorry, history. See, history some history.txt. Let me use. Okay, so it creates one file history. Inside that you can find all the comments. Okay, this file I will share with you. Okay, I just exported the comments which we used till now. This file also I will place into our shared repository, Google Drive. Okay, so tomorrow we will discuss remote repository. Okay, so once you get the like URL to work on that code, how to clone the repository or how to push your code to your repository, those we will discuss tomorrow. And also our Java code also I will place into this online repository. So every day, what you have to do is, so I will give you the assignment. So you have to complete the assignment and you have to push your code to remote repository.